Hey, what is up, Pizza Party? It's your host, Game Pizza Boy, host of Pizza Party. Welcome back to the channel. I hope we're all doing fantastic today, and welcome back to another Marvel Rivals Hero Breakdown video. I did this video before recently with Loki, and I had a great time making the video, so I'm ready to just do another one. As you all know, what the video goes by is that I will obviously cover a certain hero of mine. I'll talk about each of their abilities, covering their stats, and then I will obviously later on at the end, I will eventually give you guys my advice and top thoughts and tips how you should play as them very well when using their abilities and stats and all that stuff. So we're going to go through all of that. We're going to be doing a certain hero I've been playing a lot lately for my DPS side of things, and that is Star-Lord. I've been enjoying the living hell out of them a lot. They're really fun to play as, and I'm looking forward to go ahead and go through it all and discuss to you guys all the related stats and just give you guys my thoughts and ideas about everything, of course. So that is what we're going to be doing, of course, today. So we'll be going through all his main weapon, his main abilities, including his ultimate, as well as a team-up ability, and then I give you my, of course, tips and advice on everything, of course. So let's get right into it, and I hope you guys definitely find this enjoyable. And I quickly just mention this, if you guys have any certain heroes you want me to talk about in the next video, or anyone particular, just let me know in the comment section below, and I'll be happy to cover it, obviously, of course. So we did Loki, and now we're doing a duelist this time with Star-Lord, and maybe the next one we'll do is probably a tank, so we'll have a little fun with that. So let's get right into it, and I'll cover everything we need to know about Star-Lord, Peter Quill. Alright, so let's go and kick things off right now with the abilities. We'll start off with his main primary first, and that is the Element Guns, his dual-wheel elemental guns that he uses throughout the entirety of the Marvel Universe as we know and love. The weapon is a hit scan type of weapon, which means that it basically will, no matter where you aim, of course, it will, whenever you click the primary target with this weapon on Star-Lord, it will hit where your reticle was at the time, so the shot arrives instantly, basically. So it's a hit type, scan type of weapon. It deals about 6.5 damage per round. It has 40 ammo in the arsenal right there, so obviously once you reach age and shoot up all 40 ammo, it will eventually need you to reload. It takes 1 second to reload. It's pretty quick. It's a very quick reload, so it will help you get through it very easily, and it has a rate of fire of 40 rounds per second, so you're basically going to get almost your entire round of ammunition finished up clean off right there, and then reload again, similar to basically like how Tracer does in Overwatch. Basically, it has a moment where it does drop off on damage and also does have a spread kind of situation. So after you shoot 2 consecutive shots, the spread will start to increase to 0.15 meters, and then after 5 consecutive shots, it will then expand to 0.24 meters. So basically, it will make it a little bit more spread out more with the shots, and the fall of the damage will be around 10 meters, and then once you pass that point, it will decrease at least 60% of your damage at around 25 meters. So you got to be mindful that once you get to that point, your damage drop will kick off very well. Luckily, though, you can land critical hits with this weapon, so you can get some critical shot damage with it, which will be pretty insane to get a lot of damage off him right there with that. So you definitely want to take advantage of getting those headshots if you can. Now, how to use this weapon very easily, again, with how Star-Lord is, he's like a lot like, just like Tracer in Overwatch, so you have to be very close range to the enemies a lot. The weapon is heavily close range to like slightly medium range focus, so you really need to get close to your enemies a lot to land all those shots and deal some damage. That's where the real kickoff begins right for sure. So whenever you're playing Star-Lord and using your main base weapon, make sure you're trying to find a way to get around enemies and obviously maybe flank them if you can. There's some abilities in mind I will be discussing in just a moment to help you out with that, but definitely trying to find a way to get close to them, flank them as possible, sneak up on them, anything like that completely. Even trying to be as aggressive you can, and will help you out with deal some quick damage. But you got to make sure you land those shots pretty well, so practice your aim if you need to, of course. But be mindful, though, that again, he's just DPS, so he doesn't have a lot of health all the time like any other typical DPS does. You got to be very careful when you're going in there and just wiping out a lot of the enemies with this, because again, if you got healers on the enemy team that are healing their tanks or healing their other DPSs, they're going to get completely easily taken care of right there, and you're going to struggle to melt even with despite having the 40 shots. But there are some abilities in mind that will help out for sure. So definitely take advantage of trying to make sure you try to get close to your enemies, flank them if you can, and just get ready to unload everything you can, and make sure you're doing it as close as possible, because remember, if you go past that 10-meter mark distance and get up to like 25 meters, your damage is going to be decreased by 60% or to 60%. So you really need to be careful whenever you go too far. So this is definitely a heavily close range moment you need to take advantage of. Okay, now time to get to some of the other abilities right here that will be important to be used overall. Starting off with is Star-Lord's secondary ability known as Stellar Shift. This makes it where you could dodge in the direction of whenever you're doing certain movements, and swiftly reload. So it's a movement type ability, which is heavily focused on the idea of helping you dodge. This ability gives you 2 charges. It will allow you to use this 2 times, and it has a cooldown of 5 seconds per charge. It lasts for about pretty much a duration of 0.37 seconds briefly right there, so it's pretty quick. And it allows you to basically flip about 10 meters in the direction of any movement you want. So if you move backwards, you'll flip that way. If you move left and use it, you'll move left, and so on and so forth. This also automatically reloads your elemental guns. So let's just say if you need to still reload and you're in trouble, you can just pop that open and it will allow you to reload your weapons. This also gives you a brief invincibility during the movements. I think it's really helpful a lot when it comes to the concept of what it does, because basically it allows you to basically reload. It's kind of just like the rewind ability again from Tracer, because it also would reload your weapons and also give you a position, but this one kind of acts more less of just simply just trying to get you back to the same position you once were a few seconds ago, and just simply more in fact you just dodge. I actually like this ability a lot. It's pretty helpful, and if you time it really well, it can really assist you in many different situations. You really want to make sure to not spam it a lot as possible. Try not to spam it, and take your time using this ability, because you're only going to get so much out of it, of course. So don't just go spamming it like heck right there, because even though it comes back pretty quickly, it is very useful in some situations where you need to reload and to get back a little bit. So it's best to try to time it right when it's the best chance to take advantage of using it. I usually prefer to say, hey, it's when you're like close to running low on ammo and you got a lot of enemies on you and you can't reload. You could just simply just pop that open instead. Or when you're done shooting into someone like that, or if you feel like you're in trouble, you could just pop that real quick to back up real quick and get away from an enemy, and then try to escape if you can, because you'll have that brief few seconds of invincibility to hopefully get back, and your teammates can also heal you if you got any supports. So this is very important. You want to make sure you time it just right for sure. So be mindful when obviously using it. Take your time and don't spam it a lot, of course, and try to use it during moments where you need to reload or when you just need to get a moment to escape for that brief invincibility. The next ability is Blaster Barrage. What this ability does, it allows you to fire a frenzy of shots, causing damage to enemies within a certain range. This is a area-related ability, which means it only has a certain range, of course, that it can be hit right there. It casts mostly kind of a spherical spell field, so it's mostly in a circular design right there that anyone within that range can get it. It has about 8 damage per hit whenever people are caught within it. It takes about 8 seconds for a cooldown, and it lasts for 3 seconds until eventually kicking into cooldown. It fires about 0.1 shot per hit, basically, like 0.1 second per hit. So that means it's pretty quick, and the range is around 8 meters of its spherical radius. So meaning that means as long as they're within 8 meters, they will be hit by it, and they'll deal 8 damage within those 3 per hit within the 3 seconds of the duration before it eventually goes into cooldown. It also could be performed in combination with other abilities, such as the rocket propulsion, another ability we'll be talking about in just a moment. And if you use Stellar Shift, it can be used with too, but it does cancel the ability as well. Now, this ability is actually a pretty good damage-based ability I enjoy a lot. But the situation with this ability is that you need to really be very close with the enemies, and it does not protect you at all once you get through this, so you gotta be very cautious when you go in there. I recommend make sure you're full HP, and you do this at certain points where you think it's a good time when enemies are getting close, especially when they're low HP. So, like, if you see tanks around half or so, or anyone close to being dead, just go ahead and prepare to use that ability, because then you can just go through it and wham on them if you can with your teammates, and hopefully that will weaken them enough to kill them or make them push back off an objective. That can also kind of help out very much for sure. So make sure you guys are really timing it just right for that reason too. I also recommend using this especially when flanking enemies as well. This combined with also rocket propulsion, which we'll get to very soon, will help you out with a lot of flanking, and it can really do some pretty good damage sometimes. But again, though, just be careful. It only lasts for 3 seconds, so 8 damage per hit for 3 seconds. It still does pretty good, but again, it's pretty much really great at the point when an enemy is either like close to being dead or they're getting somewhat weak, and you want to use it to kind of push them off an objective. So you gotta be very careful when timing this ability right. And again, you're not invincible, so if you're going out there and you still have low HP, you'll pretty much get destroyed for sure. You can still cancel the build using obviously Stellar Shift to help you out with that, of course, and rocket propulsion could be combined with that, so you can use that to dash on out of there. But it's you got to make sure you definitely get out of that for sure if you start getting low HP. Otherwise, you're gonna be dead for sure. So make sure you time it just right when you're going in there with your enemies in close range, and know which enemies you're planning to use it on specifically. And it's only 8 meters, so once someone like Spider-Man is distance, or literally anyone dashing like out of there, like Rocket Raccoon, basically using his little abilities, yeah, you got to be very careful. They can be very quick, and it won't be enough time for you to get them all. Moving on next is rocket propulsion, and this basically lets you boost and soar forward. Basically, you're using his jet boost he has used in pretty much throughout the comics and stuff like that. So it allows you to use a special never movement ability and just to fly up and dash and basically get around very easily. It does have of course, a kind of a cooldown in the way of an energy bar, which will deplete. Usually, it will deplete a lot of energy, basically about like it has like about 1,200 in it of energy right there, and it will deplete basically 300 every second until it's completely filled up, like completely empty, and then after that, it takes like 100 energy per second, and then until it's fully restored. But when you use it, it allows you to have 100% movement speed completely, allowing you to fly up, fly down, allow you to move around, and just get around with ease completely. It is really good. This ability is really great to help you kind of get up to the high ground very easily and get around to certain places or to escape. This is probably your best ability you want to try to use possible when timing it right to get away. So just make sure you use it wisely and try not to waste too much of it as possible. You want to make sure you have enough of it to get back into the track, or at least try to make sure to get around and escape, of course. This ability, however, though, one thing though to mention though is that you need to be careful when using this, because you're not able to, I don't think, shoot while doing this. I tried testing this out myself a little bit during a few times, but no, you can't shoot while using this ability. So once you use it and start going to it, you have to cancel yourself out of it or wait for its depletion to get back to your normal walking phase and be able to start shooting again. So just only use it again when you absolutely need to, when you're trying to escape or to get around up. Like, so if there's like a place you want to get up higher, you can just use that to get up there and dash, of course. So it's really good. So take that time to figure out where you're going to spend all your energy on your boots right there, your jet boots, and then you just try to get out of there as quick as you can. So time is just right. Before moving on to the ultimate, his ultimate ability, let me start with his team-up ability, because like many heroes, they also come with a team-up ability. His team ability is along with Adam Warlock, called Leader's Soul. It's a passive ability, and this basically is whenever Adam Warlock's in the presence of Star-Lord, it allows you to enhance the rebirth power of him and grant him the power of Cocoon Revival, basically similar to how Adam Warlock does for his own abilities too. It has a 120-second cooldown, and the duration lasts for 13 seconds, giving you time to figure out your position so you can go ahead and revive yourself. Basically, when you team up with Adam Warlock, Star-Lord's given the power of his passive ability, Cocoon Revival, and upon death, Star-Lord will become a moving freely soul, and whenever he gets to a certain position, if he can hurry up and get to a position and use the button, he could time it right now before time runs out within 13 seconds, and to be able to, of course, revive himself from the chosen spot. So it's a nice little free revival ability. It's really helpful, and it does help him out very much for sure. So definitely take advantage of this and use this to help out your teammates. It will work on both Star-Lord, and it can also work on Mantis too, I believe, as well. So it really is helpful. So make sure whenever you are in the presence playing Star-Lord, or if you're in the presence of someone playing Star-Lord, you can play Adam Warlock and give him a little help right there so that he can get revived very easily and get back in action. So take advantage of that for sure, and use that wisely, of course. It has a very long cooldown, so it will be helpful. It can be pretty helpful whenever you're stuck in a sticky situation right there. Now on to his final ability. That's the ultimate ability, which is what every hero has. This ability Star-Lord has is called Galactic Legend. It's his ultimate, and this lets you engage in a free flight mode and lock onto enemies in sight. This ability is a hit scan and movement type ability, which means the combination of basically the hit scan of the elemental guns and movement abilities like the rocket propulsion and like the stellar shift. This ability lets you be able to fly freely anywhere you want, and allows you just to have a fast rate of fire and lock onto enemies completely. So basically what you'll do is that you'll be able to aim at enemies and lock on them if you're at a certain distance, of course. And it lets you deal still the same 6.5 damage per round, but it's really quick. It helps melt down a lot of enemies. It gives you 20% movement and speed increase. It does still have a damage drop up, but it's a little more better instead of being like around 10 meters when it drops out, and then gets to like 25 basically. If I remember, yeah, 25 basically. If it gets 60%, instead it now goes like around pretty much 25 meters as the drop-off point, and then it will decrease to 60%. Same thing, but at 40 meters. So you still have a chance to still keep damage, even up to at least 25 meters, the same damage. It costs around 3,100 energy points, so it will take a bit to get this. But once you get it, a clean home right there. It has a 30-meter range. It lets you still hold the same ammo and stuff like that. But the time for reduction right there for the reload time is reduced by 70%. So you're still very quick and easily to kind of get around reloading, obviously. And it's really good. It helps melt enemies if you really get close to them, aim very well, and sneak up on them a lot. It's really good. It helps melt enemies, and it can really destroy anyone who's not careful very easily. It's really insane. Very insane indeed. The best time to use this ability is mostly when you got a chance to flank enemies and sneak up on them when you can, of course. But if you do use it, just be ready to focus on certain targets in mind. I highly recommend trying to go after especially the supports on the enemy teams, so that if you get rid of the supports, there won't be anyone to heal them anymore, and then focus on DPS and even also tanks, of course, to help melt them down, or just target anyone you see that might be low health your teammates are still trying to wipe out. This ability can be really good, although there is one flaw to it, though, is that even though it can really lock on enemies, once an enemy realizes that you're in the mode, they can easily do is just get behind cover and avoid it. You can still fly up and down and move around, of course, but you are still quite slow a lot when doing this, and you have to make sure you really use the hell out of your abilities, since you can still use, I think you still use Stellar Shift and using Rock Propulsion to help you out a lot, I believe, but again, you got to be very careful with it, because once you start using it, enemies take notice of you. They will, like, run off and hide behind cover, because you won't be able to shoot them through cover very easily. So there is a flaw to that completely. And once they're at a certain range, they won't be locked on, especially too. So, and you'll lose that drop off if you get past 25 meters. So you want to be very careful when using this. So find a good time to use this. Maybe when you're getting close to enemies, flanking them, or sneak up on them right there, or without them realizing. And just try to go after the supports first, most importantly. You really want to go after the supports for sure. Also, during this phase, even though you're using the elemental guns, there are no critical hits. You cannot aim for the head. It just locks on the enemy's bodies very easily. So it won't matter anyway, because you'll still deal a lot of damage for that fast rate of fire and all that stuff. But still, it's pretty crazy. And it's really good. So definitely try to take advantage of that and find a good position you could do it. And really focus on key targets that might be important to get out of them first, before going after anyone else, just melting everyone down every time. Alright, so now we'll be covered through all the abilities and everything else. Allow me to explain to you, of course, my thoughts. Okay, now that we covered all the abilities, allow me to go ahead and talk about my thoughts and some tips and how you should do when you're playing as Star-Lord throughout the game. Now, whenever you play as him, of course, as I said earlier, you do focus on making sure he's a very close range, heavily DPS kind of hero, as he's really not bad at certain points range, but he's better when he gets up close to his enemies a lot. So take your time whenever you go out at him and use that elemental guns like heck, and just go melting enemies when you can, and try to use that to your advantage. I recommend whenever you get close to reloading and you're called with enemies, try to use that Stellar Shift to help you out with that a little bit too, or use it especially again when you're in trouble, of course. Blaster Barrage, only use that ability absolutely necessary when you think you're about to weaken an enemy and get close to killing them, of course. So when you have a lot of enemies around you, when you use that, you can use that to your advantage to help your teammates out, and it can really help out for sure. Otherwise, if you just go spamming that stuff, it's going to backfire on you, and you're not going to be able to kill anyone, or at least weaken them enough for your teams. Rocket Propulsion, this is great for any escapes. Take advantage of this stuff right there. Balance it out. Make sure to do all that for sure. I think that's a really fun ability to use. Using that team ability with Adam Warlock's going to help you out too sometimes moment. And that Galactic Legend Ultimate, make sure you use that when is a good time very much with enemies. And make sure you're very much in an open place, so that you can at least have a better chance to hopefully cover your ground very easily and find a lot of people. Otherwise, you're going to end up having people just running into buildings or something like that and just hide, and make it harder for you just to take them out. So be very cautious when using your ult, because people will be alerted that once they hear the quote and hear it being triggered, and they just go off for that for sure. Overall, to me, I really do enjoy Star-Lord a lot. He's one of my favorite DPSs to play. He's really fun, fast-paced, and as well, very good utility when used right. It can really help out in many situations. I think one of his best abilities from me probably is a Stellar Ship. I just like that ability just to get a brief invincibility to dodge and then just reload automatically, because there are moments where I was able to just use that and just completely wipe out on an enemy very easily, and just melt them out with my shots, along with help with my team. So it's really helpful. And his ult is really good. His ultimate is so fun to use very much, just melting enemies down. That is definitely heavily a DPS focused one right there too as well. It's not always powerful, since people can counter it if they can. And again, you can still be shot at and killed very easily while that happens. So if you're very weak, be careful with that. But it's definitely a really good ability. I think it's fantastic. I think it's not bad. Overall, I really definitely enjoy the hell out of playing Star-Lord, and he's really fun and enjoyable, and I highly recommend anyone who's not gotten a chance to try him out, please definitely do so. He's really enjoyable, very much enjoyable for sure. But alright guys, there you guys go. That is my full hero breakdown once again, and this time for Star-Lord. I'll probably do another one later in the future, probably for the tank next, and we'll just keep going through each and every one to trial them out. But I hope you found this very helpful. If you have anything to request for a certain hero in mind you want me to do immediately for a video in the future, or if you also got some tidbits in mind you want to recommend for Star-Lord or anything else like that, feel free to let me know. I would love to hear everyone's thoughts. It's always fun to get engaged with the community, of course. And if you found this video very enjoyable, hit the like button, and don't forget to subscribe. I would appreciate your support for as always. I hope you all found this really enjoyable. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm your host, Game Pizza Boy, host of the Pizza Party, and I will see you guys next time. Keep on partying, my friends. Peace.